Hi, it's Alex from Android Central, and this is the HTC One Mini. So the One Mini is HTC's take on a smaller version of the HTC One at a lower price point. As you can tell from the shape of the design language, it's a very close relative of the HTC One, the most obvious difference being the size. The Mini has a 4.3 inch screen compared to the original's 4.7 inches, and the resolution has been downscaled slightly as well, going from 1080p to 720, though on a panel this size, it still gives you well over 300 dpi. The design has also been tweaked, and there's a bit less metal and a bit more plastic on the One Mini. The back is aluminium, just like the HTC One, but the plastic trim now extends a little further around the sides, and it's got this glossy finish to it that's kind of reminiscent to last year's One X. And it's a really comfortable phone to hold and use, arguably more so than the larger version. It's still a very tall phone, and that might not be an ideal fit for everyone, but it's also much narrower, which means it's easier to hit all of the screen with your thumb. So there have been a few alterations, but despite these changes, it still ticks all the boxes you'd expect from a phone carrying the HTC One name. You've got two bassy front-facing speakers, Beats audio support, and an ultra-pixel rear camera. That's the exact same sensor that's used in the HTC One, only without optical image stabilization. For that reason, the camera app now has a software stabilization mode. A couple of other hardware features that haven't made the cut of the Mini are NFC and the IR blaster, and the latter means that there's no Sense TV support on this phone. On the inside, the One Mini is running a dual-core 1.4 GHz Snapdragon 400 CPU with 1GB of RAM and 16GB of internal storage. That's obviously a step down from the Snapdragon 600 powering the full-size HTC One, but in our brief time with the phone we found the performance in the Sense UI and regular Android apps was just as speedy with absolutely no lag. And in terms of software in general, you're looking at an experience that's almost identical to the full-sized One. The Mini comes with Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean and HTC Sense 5, and it's packing all the bells and whistles from the latest 422 firmware for the HTC One. So you've got the blink feed home screen experience, a wide range of Sense widgets to customize your home screen, as well as Android 4.2 features like lock screen widgets. You get the full Sense gallery and camera package, including Zoe's, the little 3-second video clips with integrated photos, and also video highlights, including the new highlight themes from the latest firmware. So it's probably easier to talk about what's missing, and the only app we've been able to spot that's gone is the Sense TV app because that requires an IR blaster. At the same time, any app that relies on NFC won't work here because that's not supported by the One Mini. On the whole then, the HTC One Mini gives you the vast majority of the HTC One's features in a smaller, more ergonomic chassis, with the promise of a lower price point to boot. The specs aren't quite as trailblazing, but the phone performs really well regardless, and the lack of OIS is a little disappointing, but at least the rest of the HTC One camera package has made it across in one piece. Anyway, that's a quick look at the HTC One Mini. It'll be launching globally in August, and we should have carrier announcements before too long. We'll have much more on this phone as release approaches, but in the meantime be sure to head over to AndroidCentral.com for a full hands-on preview.